Across this great nation of ours, there are some very important people. People all of us rub shoulders with, regardless of where we live. People who are doing a big job, an important job. We have all heard of these people, yet few of us realize the significance of the job they are doing. This is probably understandable, for the greatest impact of their work won't be felt in our lives today, but in the lives of a generation to come. Let's meet some of these people.
I joined the Boy Scout movement back in 1912. That's almost 50 years ago. Since that time, I have continued my association with the movement, the capacity of a leader. I've done this because I feel it is the primary movement in America for the betterment of our American youth. It offers...
Well, living on a ranch or out of doors is one of the greatest ways to live, and we feel that in scouting, giving boys this type of experience, the ability to take care of themselves under different conditions than they would ordinarily find in the city or in the home, having these boys really find out what living outdoors is like and how to take care of themselves is a real source of satisfaction, knowing that they have...
Having served in quite a number of positions in scouting, I feel that the greatest satisfaction was my years as a Scoutmaster, where I had the opportunity to work very closely with many boys. It may sound corny, but this working with boys to become better citizens is a reason I stay in scouting.
Well, I get a lot of satisfaction out of seeing these boys grow into manhood, and I know that I get a great deal more out of scouting than I could possibly put into it.
Well, I remember the pastor coming around and asking me to become the Scoutmaster at our church. And I said, well, Reverend, I'm pretty busy and I wouldn't have much time for that. And he looked at me and said, John, what are you doing that's so important you can't take a little time to help a boy?
Oh, sure. They said I was out of my head for taking the boy. That he'd stolen a car, that he'd spent time in a home. But I took him anyway. Frankly, I have my fingers crossed, but so far he's worked out. He's really worked out.
Mr. Mack, could you inspect our campsite?
Sure. Excuse me, sir.
This man and the others you have just seen are Scoutmasters, men who lead troops of Boy Scouts. They represent the thousands of Scoutmasters and Cubmasters and advisors of explorer groups who work with millions of boys in all 50 states. These men are volunteers. Every week, they move into meeting rooms and camps to tackle jobs that take time, thought, effort, training, patience, and pay no salary whatsoever. And who are the boys they help? They are boys of every height and weight and lung power, every age and creed and color, and from every county in the USA. They share only a driving zest for fun and an active quest for challenge in their great adventure of growing up. Why do so many busy men take so much time to work with boys? This is Judd Mcintyre. In a few moments, he will conduct his 83rd meeting as the leader of a troop of Boy Scouts.
Halt, Matt.
Hi, Larry.
Finished up my first aid.
Good. Any victims yet?
No, not yet. Hi, Mr. Mack.
Hi, boys.
Hi, Mr. Mack. My dad said I can't go on a hike next week.
Oh?
Yep, but I'm going anyway.
I thought your dad said you can.
He did, but my mother said I can. Hi, Mr. Mack.
Hi, Perry.
Kip won't be coming, so shall I take the flags?
Sure. Where's Skip?
I thought you knew, Mr. Mack. Kip quit.
You say Kip quit?
That's right, Mr. Mack. And he said he wasn't coming back.
There is no pay for Judd Mcintyre. The hours aren't so good, and sometimes, in spite of his best efforts, the results are discouraging.
This is Joe Burke, Mr. Mack. He thinks he might join the troop.
Hi, Joe.
Hi.
So you want to be a scout, huh?
I guess so.
Why?
What?
Why do you want to be a scout?
Oh, I like hiking and camping and stuff.
Ever done much camping?
No.
Ever been on a hike anywhere?
I guess not.
Well, did your dad ever take you fishing?
I just live with my mother.
Oh. I see. Well, Joe, we'd be glad to have you. Why don't you go along with Perry there, and we'll have a talk later on, huh?
Come on, Joe.
I remember before I got into scouting, I used to worry a lot. No little problems, just the big ones. War, famine, disease, the farm problem, the younger generation. And one of the first things I had to learn when I took this job was that I wasn't about to solve all these problems and save the world. Maybe not even my own neighborhood. But after I was in a while, I found out that every now and then, with a little luck, I could really reach a boy, get under his skin, and maybe make a difference in some way. I figured I'd settle for that.
And to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight.
One of the biggest kicks I've had as Scoutmaster is in trying to steer boys into situations where they learn to get along with each other and how to get things done without climbing all over the other guy.
All right, now look. Mr. Mack says we've earned enough money either to send the troop to camp for a week or to charter a bus and visit Washington. Our patrol has to decide which one we want to do. Let's do both. There isn't enough money to do both. It's one or the other.
Well, I say Washington. We can always go to camp.
Well, what do you mean always go to camp? You're only a scout 2 or 3 years, and that's all we have to go to camp. We can go to Washington later.
I don't want to go later. I want to go now.
Just think, the Capitol, the White House, the Washington Monument.
I don't know. You can swim at camp, but you can't swim at the Washington Monument.
Who wants to swim at the Washington Monument?
Well, that's the point. Even if you wanted to, you couldn't.
My dad says Washington's the seat of our democracy.
Speaking of democracy, are you guys ready to vote?
I wish I had $1 for every man who cast his first vote in a Boy Scout patrol meeting. A thing like that can be habit forming.
A scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful.
Boys don't join the Scouts to get their character improved. So the trick is to open their eyes little by little.
Brave,
clean, and reverent.
Good. Have a seat, Al. Tell me, what does trustworthy mean?
Trustworthy?
Trustworthy.
It means like you're honest.
Are you honest?
Sure.
All right. Let's see, how about brave? What's brave mean?
Brave means you don't chicken out, no matter what.
Oh, I see. Well, suppose some boys you knew asked you to help them do something that you thought was dishonest. Would you do it?
No.
Well, supposing they said that you were chickening out on them. Wouldn't that mean you weren't brave?
Well...
You'd have to be pretty brave to tell them no, wouldn't you?
You sure would.
Tell me, who do you think is braver? The guy who goes along with the gang and does something dishonest? Or the guy who chickens out and tells the gang no?
The guy that tells the gang no is a pretty brave boy, Mr. Mack.
Well, it's going to be great to have you in the troop with us, Al. We have a pretty good time. I think you'll like it. Our troop operates through a little group called the Patrol Leaders Council. They're the officers who lead the rest of the boys. I sit in and lend a hand, but the boys really run the show.
All right, then we're going to camp and not to Washington. The committee will plan all the details. Is there any other business, Mr. Mack?
Well, just one more thing. We've been having a discipline problem lately with some of the boys, and it's beginning to hurt some of our meetings. I think it's about time that we started to crack down on some of these guys so that we won't have any more trouble than we already have.
Okay, you guys, you heard Mr. Mack. And does anybody have any suggestions?
It's simple, Mr. Mack. If some kid louses up our meetings, kick him out.
What? There'd be nobody left in the troop.
Quiet, you guys. George?
We're supposed to straighten these guys out, not kick them out.
Hey, why don't we do like they do in school? If a kid goofs, they put him on prohibition.
That's probation, Fritz.
Oh, yeah? Well, anyway, I think it's a good idea.
Say, how about giving them what we get at home?
That's good. Whack them in the head.
No, I mean, take away some of their privileges. Like, don't let them go on the next hike, or something like that.
You know, that might just work. You got any ideas, Joe?
Well, how about fining them, like they do in courts? Say the first time they goof, it's a dime, the next time 15 cents, and so on.
Think that'd stop them?
Well, my dad got fined $2 for double parking last year, and he hasn't double parked since.
Hey, you guys, take a look at this.
If the Scoutmaster can resist giving them his pet solution to their problem, they'll often come up with something that really works. My boys love summer camp about as much as anything. But sometimes, even in a camp, a boy may need a little help in getting over a bump. Hi, Bob. What's on your mind?
I want to go home, Mr. Mack.
Go home? Oh, we've only been here 2 days.
I know, but I want to go home.
What seems to be the trouble?
I don't feel so good.
Sick, huh? Well, let's go see the doc.
I don't want to see any doctor. I just want to go home.
Oh, I see. Tell me, Bob, what have you liked best in camp so far?
Swimming, I guess.
Well, you're pretty good, huh?
I'm okay.
That's too bad.
What's too bad?
You're gonna miss the big swim meet on Monday. Lots of big prizes, too, I understand.
Oh?
Sure. And there's an all-night hike to Wildcat Mountain on Tuesday. Watermelon feed on Wednesday. Treasure hunt on Thursday. Rifle match on Friday. Too bad you're gonna miss all that. Well, I guess I'll go call your parents and tell them you're coming home sick.
You know, I'm feeling a little better now, Mr. Mack. I think I'll stay.
Good. Come on. Let's go back and join the other guys, huh?
Sure.
Penicillin can't cure homesickness, but sometimes, with a little luck, a Scoutmaster can. Whether it's a summer camp or just a Saturday hike, it's important to get the troop outdoors. Out here, you not only stretch your legs, you stretch your mind. And somehow, it's always easier to get closer to a boy when a boy is close to the outdoors. In scouting, there are many fine services like this, reflecting the faith of a boy. I'll always enjoy recalling stirring moments like this, long after I've laid down my responsibilities as a Scoutmaster.
Yes, most Scoutmasters like Judd Mcintyre aren't Scoutmasters all their lives. What happens when they leave? Who takes their place?
We had to find a new Scoutmaster for our troop recently. And in our haste to get someone, we settled for a man who didn't work out. We finally caught on. We weren't picking a chaperone or a game teacher. We were picking a man who could lead boys. And I don't mean child care. I mean lead. We needed a first-class man who'd have the right influence on impressionable young minds. It took time and effort, but I happen to believe boys are worth it.
I remember when our Scoutmaster left, some of us were pessimistic about getting a new one. But one man said, "Oh, cheer up. We'll find some sucker to take his place." Well, it just hit me wrong. So I said, "Look, Ed, your own boy's in this troop. If that's the kind of leader you'll settle for, you must not think much of your boy." Well, he got pretty sore. And he said he thought as much of his boy as I did of mine, if not more. "Okay," I said, "then help us find a good Scoutmaster." He did, too.
All right, John, we'll settle it tomorrow. So long. Our Lions Club sponsors the Scout troop. And recently, the Scoutmaster moved to another city. So now we're looking for a new man. I don't know who he'll be yet, but I'll tell you this. I'm going to insist that we take as much care in picking our next Scoutmaster as we do in picking our own club officers. This man is important.
This is a Scoutmaster's training course, typical of hundreds held each year in communities in every part of the country. If leading boys requires good men, it also requires well-informed men. Men who have learned how to use the Scout program at its effective best.
Now, you men know that the Scoutmaster is the key man of the troop. And you also know he has a big job to do. If you don't know that, you'll find out soon enough. Matter of fact, the job's too big for one man, so we give him some help. an assistant or two, and several men to make up what we call the troop committee. A kind of board of directors who can help the Scoutmaster in lots of ways. Then there's the institutional representative. He's the man who represents the organization that sponsors the troop. And, of course, the sponsor itself. Usually a church, PTA, service club, or other group in the community. And finally, the local council, who backs up all its troops with camps and programs and training courses like this one. Now, all these people are there to help you Scoutmasters do a better job with your boys. So cheer up, men. You're not alone.
The training of leaders is important, and it can also be fun, especially for men who can shed the suffocating dignities of adulthood and recapture, even briefly, the adventure of being a boy.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Ted, you had a question about electing a patrol leader.
You said a while ago that the boys in a patrol elect their own patrol leader, and that this is good training in democracy. Okay, but suppose they elect the wrong boy. He turns out to be no good. What kind of training in democracy is this?
Well, I think it's the very best kind. It teaches them what they're going to have to live with as adult voters. If they don't vote wisely, they're apt to get poor leadership.
What's going to happen to the patrol under a poor leader?
Well, the same thing that happens to a state under a poor governor. The people find out they've made a mistake, and next time, maybe they'll know better.
Questions, thoughtful, probing questions, thoughtful answers, as an instructor and his man probe together the fresh, youthful, and exciting world of a boy.
Sure, I like my Scoutmaster. He's a real nice guy. He takes us swimming and camping, and he usually doesn't lose his temper when we goof off. He even kids and jokes with us a lot. He sure likes to joke.
Did he give you the job you're doing now?
Yes, but he wasn't joking then. More potatoes!
One morning we had a big hike, but it was raining. My mother said, well, now they're going to have to cancel the hike. And I said I didn't think our Scoutmaster would cancel the hike because of a little rain. My mom said, oh, yes, he will. And I said, no, he won't. So she called him up, and he said the hike was on, rain or shine. So I left. Later in the morning, the sun did come out. That's the kind of Scoutmaster I've got.
My Scoutmaster's my dad, but he's such a good Scoutmaster, I'd like him even if he was somebody else. He told me that unless I got down to business and made a first-class scout, he'd take drastic action, whatever that is. I think it has something to do with my allowance. Well, gotta go to class now.
What did he say?
He said his Scoutmaster's a nice fellow.
No le gusta a mi Scoutmaster porque no deja a los muchachos mayores hacer cualquier cosa.
He likes his Scoutmaster because he doesn't let the older boys get by with anything.
Mi Scoutmaster es un policía.
His Scoutmaster's a policeman.
Él es un poquito tofe.
He's pretty tough.
Yo quiero que mi Scoutmaster no siga dejando a los muchachos mayores hacer nada malo.
He said he hopes his Scoutmaster will keep on not letting the older boys get by with anything.
Boys who admire a leader can be influenced by that leader. They can be helped. They can be guided. They can be inspired.
Congratulations, Larry.
On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country and to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight.
Oh, thank you, Johnny.
Good night, Mr. Mack. See you Saturday, Mr. Mack.
Good night, boys.
Mr. Mack,
Yes, Johnny.
Kip's outside.
Kip. But I was told tonight that Kip wasn't coming back.
Well, he's outside.
Thank you, John.
The world of a Scoutmaster is a world of small and quiet triumphs, and sometimes a world of challenge and doubt. It is, in short, a world much like the one we all live in, but it has this difference. It is a younger world, and therefore a world of greater hope and larger promise. For the ideas that grow here and the men that are formed here will have their influence one day on all the rest.